Even before I became fascinated with gaming, I was already very interested in a special thing about it. Secrets. Sometimes there were baffling glitches, other times there were Easter eggs that could stay undiscovered for years or be important moments for gaming history, like the creator of Adventure hiding his name in the game back when Atari had strict policies against crediting programmers at all. So a few years ago, one of my favorite pastimes was watching videos about these secrets. Therefore I came across one of them many different times, Nuclear Gandhi, one of the most famous gaming secrets that never actually existed. It is the nerdy equivalent of an urban legend, stating that in the game Civilization 1 or 2, as always for a story like this, parts of it change depending on who's telling it, Gandhi was the most peaceful leader of any nation. With everyone having an aggression rating from 1 to 10, his and his alone was set to the lowest possible number. So how could he suddenly turn into the worst warmonger possible? The reason behind it? Democracy. Once a nation changed its form of government to democracy, the game would take away 2 aggression points. However, Gandhi already sat on a single one, and 1 minus 2 leads to a negative number. This can cause a problem if a glitch called integer overflow, or in this case underflow, occurs, meaning that an integer, which in this form contains a number between 0 and 255, is forced into unintended negatives, so it jumps from the lowest possible number to the highest one. What we ended up with was 12 times Nobel Peace Prize nominated Mahatma Gandhi having an aggression rating of 255, with the highest legitimate one sitting at about 10. But while Gandhi suddenly turning into a massive asshole is already kind of amusing, in Civilization, nuclear weapons are often unlocked not too long after democracy, meaning that the moment India became nuclear capable, it would use them against other nations. So a meme was born. It's easy to see why Nuclear Gandhi spread like wildfire. I have never played Civilization, nor even a game of its genre, but you don't have to find it funny. The one thing everyone who has ever heard of Gandhi knows about him is that he stood for peace. Because of this, the joke quickly grew beyond the games community. Simply by being a good punchline and easily transformed into meme format, the glitch became one of the most iconic bugs in gaming history, as well as one of the standard examples for integer overflow, and is sometimes even used as an example for the Mandela effect. By being a quotable and timeless meme combined with staying a fitting example, Nuclear Gandhi may be an old story, but it never stays forgotten. This still leaves us with a few questions. First of all, have you liked and subscribed yet? But more importantly, where did it originate? It's quite untypical to be able to exactly pinpoint where an urban legend started, but in this case we actually can not only find out where, but also the person and the very second they posted it. On the fan wiki TV Tropes, which hosts public forums, the user Tunafish shared this comment on July 17th, 2012. The first time the alleged bug was mentioned. He already used the full explanation of why it occurred, something that looks very plausible. Integer overflow is a somewhat common bug that sounds like it could lead to this exact behavior, so it made its way from TV Tropes over to Wikia, another fan wiki. Then it jumped to a third one, fourth one, and so on. Every time people asked for proof, they simply got a link to other fan wikis claiming it. When 2 years later, people were once again arguing over the topic on Reddit, the story got picked up by the video game news and review site Kotaku, where an author was convinced the story was true and published the article Why Gandhi is Such an Asshole in Civilization, citing the bug as the reason behind it. And just like it spread from one fan wiki to another before, now multiple video game news sites published the same false story. For many people, including me, this was the first thing I ever heard of the game. Now, I was never going to play it. It was released 13 years before I was born, so I didn't question it. It was an old game at this point. Even a lot of its fans simply played a newer version. Civilization 5 was already out by 2010, a game in which every nation's leader has a value between 0 to 10 on a lot of different objectives, like build a nuke or use a nuke, where Gandhi had 12 out of 10. Yeah, there was an Easter egg in the 5th entry of a game series, leading to an urban legend about the first game that became so big that it was widely accepted and even shared by gaming news sites, which was also a giant meme. There are even more factors that play into why people still believe it to this day, like the creator only stating that it was wrong in 2020. But all of this doesn't cover up the main point. No one ever saw it. There was never any proof. It didn't happen. The reason I wanted to talk about this isn't only because it's a funny story with an even funnier meme, no. I think it is a good example of people believing misinformation just because they like it to be true. It would be quite amusing if it were the case, so people didn't bother to check if it was. After all, who would want to ruin a joke they themselves laughed at? And even if they would have looked it up, the news sites and fanwikis all spread the lie. One fanwiki citing another. That's citing another. That's citing another. What we end up with is a lesson we've all been told hundreds of times, yet no one entirely follows it. Don't believe bullshit just cause you like it. And if you see a claim that looks sus, check what it is referencing. Right now, the Wikipedia article about nuclear Gandhi claims that Sid Meier, the creator of civilization, said in his 2020 memoir the bug would have been possible. But that's wrong. The book says that it wouldn't have been possible. However, in a 2019 interview, he said that it might have been possible, an interview the article quotes, so be careful out there. Google twice before you quote once, and then like once.